Hi friends, today I'm filming a video that I'm really excited to finally film for you guys. It's been on the wish list, it's been part of the plan for a really long time, and I just haven't got around to it because it's kind of overwhelmed me a little bit to think about starting to film this, getting out all the supplies needed for filming this. But I finally have some spare time and we're doing it. So I'm going to be discussing today how I use crystals with tarot. I buy a lot of crystals and I show those purchases to you guys in my monthly wrap-ups. So I thought it would be a good idea to show you guys how I incorporate those purchases, how I incorporate these crystals into my tarot practice. I'm going to start with a disclaimer. None of this is scientifically proven. So any metaphysical properties that people say a crystal has, or any uses people say a crystal has, is not scientifically proven. So keep that in mind. Just because I say I work with a crystal in a certain way and maybe Pinterest says to work with it a different way, you know what? You do you. There's no science backing any of this up. So work with crystals how you feel like working with crystals, if that's something you choose to do. This is just a small portion of what you can do with crystals. I am here to talk about how I work with crystals and tarot. There might be people who disagree with some of the things I do. There might be people who think, oh, you left this out. You should be doing this. You could be doing this. This is just my experience. This is just how I do things. So take everything with a grain of salt. And remember, there's no scientific evidence for any of this. And it's a way to enjoy the purchases that I make. It's a way to, instead of just keeping them on a table for display, it's a way for me to get use out of these items, which I think there's nothing wrong with. So keep that in mind. And like I said, if you disagree with how I'm using a crystal, or you think I shouldn't be using it this way, I should be using it that way instead, to each their own. This is, again, not scientifically proven for anything. So had to get that out of the way, had to get that out there. But let's get right into it. First thing I wanted to do is discuss cleansing your decks, or even cleansing other crystals. You can see I have a plethora of selenite all around me. Selenite is a cleansing crystal. It's also a very spiritual crystal, I think, just because of the, I don't know, celestial look it kind of has with that shimmer. Like there's just something higher vibration to it. So you can use it to cleanse your other crystals. Just keep in mind that selenite is very soft. It is a very soft crystal and it will dent very easily. So just, if you're putting crystals on it, I always just try and be very, very careful. Set them down gently. You get the drift. You get the drift, one of those. Same with a selenite sphere. This one you can see she's got some dings and dents in her, but it's just, there's something about selenite. It's a simple little gypsum mineral, but it's so pretty. So, like I said, you can get selenite bowls and put your crystals in the bowl. You can get slabs and you can put your decks on the slab to charge them. What I like to do is use a selenite tower. So I've mentioned in the past that I really like my towers to have the tips intact, and this is why, because they provide a function for me. If I'm going to put a tower on my deck to cleanse it, I like to imagine the energy from that reading, good or bad, the leftover vibes from that reading going into the bottom and being released out the top. And I let it sit there. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 5 days. It's whatever you feel works for you. There's no rules. So you could have several of these in your shelf, on your desk, sitting, cleansing. Again, you could even use your sphere. The sphere would just have energy coming all around it. that kind of gets into the shapes of crystals and the different uses for their shapes, which I'm not really going to touch on except for this portion here, maybe a little side note later. But so this would be pulling it in and releasing it, and also imbuing it with that energy because of the shape of the crystal. So you'd see a sphere in a crystal grid in the middle of a crystal grid because the energy or the vibration from that crystal is coming out all sides, whereas a tower, it's just coming out the top. So again, you might see a tower in the middle of a crystal grid because all the other crystals in that grid are pointing towards that tower, and it is shooting that energy up. Again, not scientifically proven, but just a way to have fun with your crystals. Another thing you can do, if you're not a person that can use smoke in your home, you can get a wand and just do as you would with smoke around your deck. Super simple, super easy, and selenite is rather cheap. It's super easy to get your hands on and inexpensive. Another thing you can do as far as cleansing goes, using your selenite wand, is to cleanse yourself, similar to using smoke to cleanse yourself. I have a little assistant here that I have brought in to help me with this segment. And we have Dylan from 90210, who appears to have spilled some coffee on his lap. Is it Dylan? Now I'm second guessing myself. Let me double check. Yes, never should have second guessed myself. So I would use this wand to go around my head, just trying to clear all the chakras. And I would go down my body, usually sitting cross-legged, so the bottom portion is a little more difficult to get to, but the ones I like to focus on are the crown, the third eye, and the throat chakra if I'm going to be reading for other people, because I want to make sure I have clear communication. So as I'm doing this, I'm imagining the chakras spinning at a normal pace. Nothing's going wild, nothing's spinning out of control, nothing's spinning sluggish. So they're just centers in the body, little orbs, little round pieces in the body that you're just imagining spinning and emitting a little bit of light, just to kind of give yourself a little cleanse before starting your reading. So thank you, Dylan, for your assistance. We're going to talk more about chakras later, but that is another way you can cleanse your body before a reading. Do I do that every single time? No. Sometimes I'm lazy. I'm just sitting in bed and I will spray a room clearing mist or a room cleansing mist, aura cleansing mist, and I'm good to go. But every once in a while, even without a reading, I just kind of like to give the body a little scan with a selenite just to kind of regulate those chakras. And I find even as a meditative experience, it can be very relaxing. Whether it's actually doing something or not, again, there's no scientific evidence. I don't even think there's scientific evidence, well, I know there isn't, that prove chakras exist. So what I do know exists, though, is the power of suggestion and placebo. So if me using this wand to go up and down my body makes me feel calm and relaxed and centered and better in any way, shape, or form, that's not hurting anyone. There is nothing wrong with that. So keep that in mind as well. That's kind of another way I like to think about crystals, is that the placebo effect is real and the power of suggestion is scientifically proven to be real. The other thing that's proven to be real is that everything has energy. Everything. So even this wooden bowl has energy, but so do crystals. Now, whether or not they emit a vibration or a frequency is also something that has not been scientifically proven to my knowledge. So again, grain of salt. Keep that in mind. If nothing else, placebo effect. So yes, cleansing your crystals and your decks and your person, your body with selenite is something I love to do. You can hold these, I think they're called chargers, selenite chargers, in each palm when you're meditating, and that is supposed to be excellent for meditation as well. Just again, keep in mind that selenite is very soft, dense, easy, so just be gentle with them, be careful with them. I tend to baby everything I own because it's devastating when something gets dinged up or broken or lost or whatever, so just keep that in mind about selenite. Again, I have my moon bowl here with my pendulum in it. We will talk about pendulums later, but that is an excellent way to cleanse things such as a pendulum or crystals. If you have a larger bowl, you could put your tarot decks or your oracle decks in it, although I do think you would need a fairly large bowl for that. Another good one for clearing energy and cleansing energy is good old clear quartz. If you have no other crystal in your collection, you have no desire to start collecting crystals, which, heed my warning, don't, but let it be clear quartz that you make your first and only crystal purchase with, or it's the only item you have in your collection. Clear quartz can be given any intention you desire. It is our master healer. Clear quartz can be used for anything. So when we talk about different types of crystals, like amethyst, for example, and what metaphysical properties it has, you can imbue clear quartz with those properties. You can tell clear quartz, that's what I want you to do for me. That's what I want you to be for me. So again, it's a nice clearing crystal to start, but it's also the master healer. So with my decks, I do like to keep crystals, not with every single deck I own, because that would be a lot of little crystals in crystal bags and boxes, whatever. But I do like to keep clear quartz on my shelf, you know, just little pieces, little tumbles on my shelf. I do have a couple decks, a couple bags that have some in there. Another good crystal to keep around your decks is anything black. Black is a protection crystal, so, and it's a negative energy absorption as well. So protection, negative energy absorption, makes sense to have it around a tarot deck, also around your person. Black and clear quartz are the staples in my purse. They're staples in a collection and on my person, in my purse. They are my big guys. But again, you can tell your clear quartz you want it to be a negative energy absorber and your protector. So if you don't want to run out, and again, black tumbles and clear quartz like selenite, super easy to get your hands on, super affordable. Excellent affordable options. And I do also keep black crystals on my tarot shelves, in my tarot bags, etc. But you don't have to keep those specific crystals with your decks. Some of my decks I feel deserve different crystals, or they just give off a different vibe that maybe clear quartz isn't the one for you. Maybe something different will work better, or I don't know, kind of like, I don't want to call them personality crystals, but kind of sorta. So we have my Oracle of the Radiant Sun in this yellow bag, florals for spring, and I keep this piece of raw amber with it. It's so weird. Amber is a resin, as I think a lot of us know, and it's very lightweight, so it's a very bizarre feeling. But this lovely piece of raw amber, sun, Oracle of the Radiant Sun, amber, it makes sense. It works. So you can assign whatever crystals you want to whatever decks. Again, no rules. If a deck feels like it's calling to a certain crystal, absolutely go for it. Toss that crystal with that deck. It doesn't matter. So back to our clear quartz and our black crystals. So this is something that I haven't done lately. I haven't done too much of this, but I am going to talk about it because it is something that I used to do, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. Gridding a room. So if you're reading for other people, let's say the four corners here are a room. You could put a clear quartz and a black crystal in each corner of that room for negative energy absorption, protection, clearing, energy clearing. You could do that. That's kind of a lot. I also don't really read for other people where I'm going into a room, a square room, and I'm sitting down at a table and reading for people. So it's not something I do often, but you can. If you want to grid your room that you read in, absolutely go for it. I, like I said, haven't really done this. What I do is grid my bed with howlite. So howlite, let's get a little... Howlite is this crystal here, and it is really good for sleeping, really good for relaxing, and sleeping. So I grid my bed with 4 pieces of howlite in each corner, just little tumbles. They don't have to be anything crazy or anything large, but crystal gridding a room works really well, I think, for keeping the energies in check in that room. So that is an option you can do. Again, you don't need to have all of the crystals. You can just stick with your clear quartz babies and tell them what you want them to do. Also, what does that mean? What does it mean to tell a crystal what you want it to do? So black crystals should be cleansed regularly because they do absorb negative energy. So you don't want them holding on to that negative energy, and then you don't want to then carry around that crystal that's holding on to negative energy. So we do like to cleanse black crystals often. Clear quartz, I think I've heard people say that you don't need to cleanse clear quartz either. I do. I want it to be cleansed, especially if I'm giving it certain tasks, jobs, duties, intentions, whatever. So again, going back to what that means for me, I will take a crystal and I would cleanse it either with selenite or with smoke or with sound, which I'll show in a second. Then I would sit with this crystal for a period of time, meditate with it, constantly repeating what I want it to do, imagining it working for me in that way. And that is how I would give a crystal a specific intention. So if these 4 babies were going to be, I don't know, let's say replace some rose quartz, they're going to be my self-love crystals. I would cleanse them and I would sit with them and meditate with them and imagine them being my self-love helpers, whatever that means to me, to you, whatever the case may be. So because we have a lot of crystals here, I have a lot of crystals in my collection. I'm not going to sit here and put them all on a selenite plate. I'm not going to sit here and drag every single one of them out into the moonlight. That's a lot. That's a lot of work for me. And I don't like working with smoke that often because I'm in a small, like 10 by 10 bedroom. The ceiling is turning black. The ceiling fan is turning black. So nope, we're not doing that. Even with the window open. I do open my windows when I'm working with smoke. So I like to use sound to cleanse my crystals. So you can use a Tibetan singing bowl, which I have, but closer I have this bell. As we can see, it has a pineapple, which means absolutely nothing to me, but I got this for free at a free cycle. So perfect. So a way to cleanse multiple crystals at a time is using sound. Again, bell, sound bowls, singing bowls, whatever you can get your hands on, a free pineapple bell, and you just around all your crystals, and that is a good way to cleanse them. Again, there's no rhyme or reason to how long you have to do that for. No one says it's got to be 30 seconds. No one says it can't be less than 5 seconds. Whatever feels right for you. Okay? No rules. No scientific evidence for any of this. No rules. So that's a way to cleanse crystals and imbue them with specific jobs, duties, intentions, whatever. And these are, like I said, they are the staples for me. A selenite, a clear quartz, something black. Now, black crystals can be a little tricky because some of them are, like, I couldn't tell you what any of these are. Black crystals, a lot of them look the same. This one has some, looks like some schiller on the inside. Couldn't tell you what it is. The one that kind of is obvious is black tourmaline, and it is one of my favorites to work with. So black tourmaline is really difficult to polish, and it has cracks, it has chips, it starts to kind of chip away a little bit over time. So you can tell black tourmaline. This is what raw black tourmaline looks like, so you can see where it would be difficult to polish this. So black tourmaline is one that I can fairly easily identify in a tumble form, but these guys, you know, black onyx, black obsidian. Oh, this one has, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there is some schiller in there. So this is a form of rainbow obsidian. Just noticed that now. Very, very dull, but it's there. Okay, black, clear, and selenite. One thing I missed before we move on to something else is crystal skulls. I know that skulls can be a little intimidating, you know, they're a little macabre, but skulls are a symbol of protection. They're also a symbol of ancestral wisdom. So if you're the kind of person that works with ancestors, I wish I was. I don't work with my ancestors, but I think that the ancestral wisdom is pretty self-explanatory. This would be a good one to keep around for ancestral wisdom. I like to keep it around for protection. So I do have little tiny skull carvings on my tarot deck shelves and in my space just for protection. Also, they're super freaking cool. Really neat. So that's my little amethyst skull. I posted a YouTube short about the skulls I have in my collection. Not many, because carvings are expensive. These little guys aren't too bad. I've had this one for a long time, but yeah, any kind of crystal carving is expensive because of the work that goes into them. So if you can find cheap little skulls, pick them up. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to something a little different. So actually working with crystals and tarot reading specifically. How I like to think of crystals, how I categorize my crystals is by using the chakras. So we have a little image of the chakras here. I don't expect you to read this, but that's fine. So the ones I like to focus on when doing a reading are the crown, the third eye, sometimes the throat. If I'm reading for someone else, I want to encourage clear communication from myself. And then after a reading, I would focus on grounding. So the root chakras, with a little incorporation of the sacral chakras, but those are the ones that I'm mostly focusing on when I'm working with crystals and tarot. How can you tell? How do you know which crystals work for which chakra? Colors. That's how I do it. So crown chakras would be anything white or purple, maybe a side of pink. Third eye, again, we've got purple, some like indigo blues I think are really good for third eye as well. It also kind of incorporates that throat chakra. So that is the basics of how I work with crystals and tarot reading. So what does that mean to me? Well, I like to keep those crystals near me or on my person when I am reading, typically for myself. I think we all know I don't really read for others, so myself. So we have a wee collection of crystals in front of us here. So an excellent way of incorporating crystal use into your practice without having to carry around crystals if you're going to a fair or you're going to someone's house or you're having people over and you don't necessarily like people touching your crystals or you don't want to lug them all around, whatever the case may be, get yourself some jewelry. So we have a black tourmaline. Again, the fact that they managed to polish this and carve this into bead form is just amazing to me because I remember it came from that. That's nuts. So a good protection one, protection from negative energies, negative energy absorbing. Excellent to have. I think that's self-explanatory. Of course, we have a clear quartz because it does everything for us. Also a good energy clearing crystal. We have some labradorite. Labradorite is a great one for crown, third eye, and of course we have that blue shimmer in there, which would be great for communication as well, and amethyst. And then we have our clear quartz. I grabbed a different one. I grabbed one that is aura coated, which just means it's been given a titanium coating. So that's definitely not natural. That kind of gasoline, oil slick look, not natural. It was coated in titanium to give that look, but I thought we would give her some airtime. And a labradorite palm. Just, I cannot get over the fact that the earth makes this. Now we can get into the science of this, how the crystal isn't actually shimmering, it's particles inside the crystals that the light is reacting to. It's the whole thing. So we're not here for that though. And Super 7. So Super 7 is said to be a very high vibration crystal. We are going to talk about this. But first, basics. So again, we've got easy peasy lemon squeezy, a lapis lazuli, also excellent for crown, third eye, and throat chakras, bracelets, a labradorite ring, bracelet on the wrist, and tumbles and palm stones. perfect to keep around you, keep on your person when you are reading tarot, reading oracle cards, trying to connect with the divine or higher spirits, whatever the case may be. I was going to say something about lab and now I can't remember, so we will move on. Another crystal you can connect to. Where's the other one? It's hiding. Is angelite. So angelite is a trade name for a crystal, which is very common among crystals. They're given trade names which make people think that they do those things for you, which is exactly what's happened here. Angelite is said to connect to your angels. So again, if you're someone who works with ancestors or angels, spirit guides, this would be an excellent one for you to have on you, around you when you're doing tarot readings. So angelite, it was given the name angelite just because of its color. It's very celestial, very angelic. Fun fact, angelite is just a really, really compressed version of celestite, which I don't have near me at the moment, but celestite is also great for sleeping. So angelite, an excellent one to keep around you if that's something that you work with. That's a great option for you, very inexpensive. Again, I just have some tumbles. You can find these simply, all of these you can find simply. Maybe the Super 7 is a little different, but we have yet to talk about that one. So that's what I mean when I say I work with crystals and tarot, and I finally remembered what I was going to say. So again, I would give these crystals jobs after I have cleansed them, after I've cleared them of what energies they're carrying from previous readings, previous workings with me. Oh, that blue. I got distracted by my own crystals. And then I would do the whole, this is what I want you to do for me. You are going to open up my third eye. You're going to open up my crown chakra. You're going to help me connect with spirits, whatever you want it to do. And, you know, again, there's no rule to how often you should cleanse them. Kind of just whenever you think, ooh, that was a heavy reading. We did a lot of work there. Let's cleanse you. That's kind of how I work with them in a tarot reading. The elephant in the room, for me anyway, maybe not for anyone else. Super 7. Super 7 is a trade name. It is called Super 7 because it has 7 minerals in it. Now I can never remember what all 7 of those are. So we're gonna get out my Encyclopedia of Crystals, and it is on page 266. So it looks a little different in these pictures. Raw Super 7. All right, so we have amethyst, smoky quartz, regular quartz, rutile, goethite, lepidocrosite, and cacoxenite, I believe. Those are the 7 crystals that are supposed to be in a Super 7. I'm going to tell you right now, the Super 7 on the market today does not have all 7 of those crystals. It would be next to impossible for you to find a Super 7 crystal that actually has all 7 of those crystals in there. So mine, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. We've got amethyst, we have smoky, we have regular quartz all throughout, and this is probably the lepidocrosite. It's just an iron that gives it that orange color, and that's probably it. I don't see any rutile. I certainly don't see any goethite. Let's look up what goethite looks like, just so you know why I'm saying I certainly don't see any goethite. That's what, whoa, smash that tripod. That's what goethite looks like, okay? I don't see any of that in that crystal or anything resembling that. So just know, again, grain of salt, if you're buying Super 7 and someone is telling you there are 7 minerals in there, that's not true. Do your research about crystals and always keep in the back of your mind that a lot of these have trade names, like the angelite, like Super 7. So this is probably Super, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4? Super 4? There might be some rutile in here. Like it's kind of hard to tell. That might be rutile, but I'm not 100% confident. The banding though is really pretty in there. Yeah, it's hard to say if that is rutile or not. There's even banding in the amethyst. And that's why I bought it. It is still a stunning piece. It is a really, really beautiful piece. Why work with Super 7 during a tarot reading? If we go back to our handy dandy book, Ascension Work, Harmonizing the Body Immune System, Body's Natural Healing System, reported to have the highest vibration of any crystal yet found and manifesting to assist the evolution of Earth. Okay, that's pretty heavy. Super 7 is a spiritual powerhouse and extremely soothing and nurturing crystal. It opens metaphysical abilities, enhancing spiritual working of all kinds. It purifies and balances and energizes all the chakras. Super 7 is a high vibration stone. So that is why I bought it, because I liked it. I liked the shape. I thought it was stunning. The colors are just beautiful. And that banding up there is really neat. Don't know if we just heard my thumb crack. And the shape of it is really soothing to hold as well. So again, take it with a grain of salt. If someone's selling you something as Super 7, it's not. It's not 7 minerals. It's the trade name of the product, Super 7. Okay, so keep that in mind. Do your research. And we could get into lithium quartz as well. Lemurian quartz. Scratch that, Lemurian. The mine that actually sells or sold Lemurian quartz is mined out. So what you're buying now is not Lemurians. It's just all those striations are just growth marks. That's all they are. And people are profiting off them, which it's fine. Why would you buy a Lemurian quartz? Because it has a lower vibration, frequency, whatever, than regular quartz. If regular clear quartz is too strong for you to work with, I don't find that it is, but if it is for you, a Lemurian quartz would be one that you'd want to pick up. But again, just know that the actual mine with Lemurian quartz is mined out. So what you're buying is not actually Lemurian quartz. And people ask all the time, how do you know all this? How do you know if a crystal is fake? Whatever. I've been purchasing crystals for literal years. And it's practice. It's seeing something. It's reading about stuff. There's a really interesting Instagram account called From the Mines, I think. He's a crystal collector and he really debunks a lot of stuff about crystals. So if you don't want to hear that, it's probably not the best one to watch. If you choose to believe that Angelite connects you to your angels, then don't listen to him. But it's also incredibly informative. So just, again, know what you're buying, know who you're buying from, and know what you're looking for. And it just takes practice or Google. If you're in a store and something seems too good to be true, use Google. Another thing I really like to do with tarot cards, and this is new for me, it's not something I've been doing for very long, but I'm really enjoying it. So we have our tarot deck, our Santa Muerte tarot, and if you have an affirmation deck, it would work just as well, if not better, but you can pull a card, or you can actually just go through your deck. And if you're familiar with what affirmations resonate with each tarot card meaning, you can go through and pull a specific one out. We're going to ask for an affirmation here. We're going to ask for one to pop out. Pop out. Oh my God, they're flipping. They're not popping. Here we go. We have the 10 of Pentacles. And now I have to fix those ones that popped or it's going to drive me crazy. So the 10 of Pentacles is kind of easy to come up with affirmations for me. There's certainly a number of tarot cards that I would probably have to do this with, but we're going to do it anyway for the sake of the video. 10 of Pentacles affirmations, and then we're going to pick one. Now, like I said, if you have an affirmation in mind, you absolutely do not have to Google it. Oh, there's even a 10 of Pentacles meditations and affirmation, a 10-minute original guided meditation on YouTube. So you could throw that on while you were doing this. Oh my gosh, AI has given us a plethora to choose from. AI is insane. I am attracting wealth and abundance into my life. I like that one. I am attracting love. I already lost it. I am attracting wealth and abundance into my life. I threw love in there. Maybe I should keep that. I am attracting love, wealth, and abundance into my life. So I ordered these clear quartz points off of Etsy. I just found a local seller, love supporting local, and this is why I bought them. It was for this exact purpose because I'm loving this practice so much. So what I'm going to do is sit here with this card. I might even put on that 10-minute meditation. If there's talking in it, it might be a little distracting, but if it's just music, sounds, whatever, that would be amazing. But I am going to start placing crystals, my crystal points. Let's get this out of the way. And I'm going to repeat that affirmation as I am placing them. And it's important when you're doing this to make an equal and opposite placement for each crystal you place. So one goes at the top, one goes at the bottom. One goes at the side. One goes at the opposite side. They don't have to be equal in size. That's just my brain wanting to pick out equal in size. And the whole time I'm doing this, I am repeating that affirmation. I am attracting love, wealth, and abundance into my life. I am attracting love, wealth, and abundance into my life. And so on. Now you can absolutely add different crystals in here. You can zhuzh it up with crystal chips. They don't necessarily have to be points, but the crystal chips just kind of, like I said, zhuzh it up. Now I do have, when we think of abundance, I think of green aventurine. I do have green aventurine chips, but not near me, and I'm not going to run and get them. But again, as long as you're making equal and opposite placements, you can pretty it up as much as you want. You can use DTs, which are double terminated points, and again, zhuzh it up. These are amethyst. So amethyst is kind of an anti-anxiety stone, so it doesn't really work for this affirmation, but again, you can do whatever you want. If you think that looks pretty, done. Purple might be your favorite color and you want to incorporate it into your grid, done. Now, it should be noted that the points are said to affect this. So if you're wanting to invoke versus evoke your affirmation, in this case, we're invoking it, we're wanting to invoke that affirmation, the points are going to go towards the card. Now the DTs don't matter because they have points on either end, so it's energy going in both directions. But if we're wanting to evoke something, which for me, an affirmation or an intention, you are trying to invoke something. So a situation where you would be wanting to evoke something, let's say we pulled the devil card and you're wanting to banish addictive behaviors. So I would turn the points away from the card because you're banishing something. But most of the time, for me anyway, the points will be going towards the card. Now, how long do you leave this out? That is entirely up to you. If you don't have the space to do that, you can take it down right away. There is a street sweeper going by. If this is something you want to sit on for a while, you want to be reminded of it every day, you're not quite ready to put it away, you really want that affirmation, you want a reminder, a physical reminder of that affirmation, and you really want it to stick, you can leave it out as long as you want. It is entirely up to you. There are no rules, okay? But it's pretty to do. I find it really effective. I find it really calming. And it's a use for your crystals. Now, like I did have to go out and buy crystal points because I already had the amethyst ones And I have like the odd one-off DT, but I didn't have any of these, and they were inexpensive off of Etsy. So again, it's a clear quartz, not an expensive crystal, easily found, and you can probably find a local seller who has these. Really enjoyable. That is something that has been new to my practice in 2025, not something I do often. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say I do it every day or weekly, but it is something to do. And like I said, if you know what you want your affirmation to be, you can go through and pick out the tarot card that applies to that affirmation, or if you have an affirmation deck, even better. I just don't have an affirmation deck. Okay, let's talk about crystal pendulums. Also something I don't use too often. I've kind of got into using D&D dice for yes and no kind of situations this year, but I think a lot of people have pendulums. They've heard about pendulums. I got my first pendulum. It was a rose quartz one, which I cannot find to save my life, about 20 years ago, if not more than that. This one is a bloodstone. I was going through a green phase. I really just wanted a green pendulum, but again, black, clear quartz, amethyst, whatever is calling to you, that's what you're going to work with. So how I work with a pendulum. I think a lot of us know that this is typically how we see pendulums worked with. When I got my first pendulum 20 some odd years ago, I was told that you ask it what your yes is and what your no is. So show me my yes. My yes is almost always a clockwise circle, which is what it was. I think my finger was blocking it, but now show me my no. And my no is almost always back and forth, which it was. So that is how I was told. There are I've heard over the years people say that a counterclockwise circle is a no, a clockwise circle is a yes. There's all kinds of different things. I like to ask it. Show me how you want me to work with you. Show me what you're going to show me. So you can ask yes or no questions using that simple method, but that's, again, not with tarot. So how do I work with it with a tarot deck? Let's say August is coming. What deck should I work with in August? Well, you know, I'm torn between these two decks. There's our street sweeper again. So I'm going to ask the pendulum. I try and study it first. Should I work with this deck in August? That looks like a no to me. Should I work with this deck in August? Whoops. That also looks like a no to me. So I might grab another deck, or I might not listen to it at all. So it's really handy for picking out decks. I would probably have more than two when I'm using that kind of question for it, because usually I'm really torn with what decks to use. So let's say I really like to use jumper cards. That's my favorite. But sometimes multiple cards will fly out at one time. So we're just gonna, that was maybe too many. Usually it's 3 or 4. Now, I might not use the yes or no here. I might just watch what the pendulum does. Is it moving erratically? Is it not moving at all? Like, what kind of energy is getting picked up by the pendulum for this card? I also wouldn't be talking when I'm doing this, because as I'm talking, it is making my hand move more than normal. Now, people might say, your hand is moving, you're making it move with your hand. Yep, that's how it works. It picks up on the small movements of your hand, the energy created from your hand going into the anchor bead and down the chain, creating your answer. Oh, that's a circle there. There wasn't much movement on that far left card, but that is a clockwise circle. Not much movement here. So I would pick this card if I had multiple cards that jumped out, or let's just say I had a handful of cards and I just wanted 2 or 3 of them. You could do that same method across a handful of cards and pick out 2 or 3 of those cards. I kind of prefer doing that with an oracle card, and then that card is my main meaning, and then going through and doing a tarot reading with the regular cards. I don't know. The tarot cards, sometimes I'm like, I want them all. I think they're all meant for me. So an oracle card, you could fan them out. A lot of people fan their decks out, their cards, and then they go over it with the pendulum, and wherever it kind of starts to get really erratic, that's the card they pick. That's really time consuming for me. That takes a lot of time, and I'm not into taking that much time when I'm picking a card. So the other thing I really like using a pendulum for in a tarot reading, we have 2 court cards here. So for me, I really struggle with the court cards. I've been reading tarot since 2020, and court cards still trip me up. In my tarot course, I was taught that court cards represent people, but that doesn't always work for me. So, I think they have their own meanings. So with this King of Cups, I could say, does this represent a person in this reading? I would say that's a back and forth for me. Does this represent a person? We have a baby circle going on there. So yeah, maybe a little. Maybe it does represent a person a little. So that's another way I like to work with using the pendulum and tarot readings. Side note, I forgot about the Great Pendulum book. So we talked a little bit about the pendulum, and now I'm backtracking slightly. You can also find these kind of charts. You don't have to use a pendulum for yes or no. You can use it, okay, that's illness. Ooh, which bright color influences me in a positive way? So you would use your pendulum to see where it's going, see what's happening. Literature about color therapy provides detailed insight into their precise application. So my only gripe with this is that if I'm using a pendulum, I have to hold this open. And then, so it's kind of an awkward, slightly uncomfortable thing. I feel like I'm really focusing on my hand, keeping that book open. Looks like we are going for sapphire. So I don't know, maybe you could take a picture of it from your iPad and keep your iPad flat. You could rip it out if you really wanted to. I would never. That's just my personality. What am I allergic to? That's oddly specific. But yes, this is another great idea for working with your pendulum. So the Great Pendulum book by Petra Sonnenberg. Super fun. There's so many things in here. Like obviously there's one on every single page. I wish I would dive into this more. I keep forgetting about it. What kind of room suits me best? Room in which my stereo is the focus. Room with lots of bookcases. That's fun. Okay, $2.89. We're coming back to you. Post tarot reading crystal uses. So this doesn't happen too often when I'm reading for myself, but every once in a while it does happen where you kind of you really feel like you need to be grounded after that reading. You were so high vibing with your crown, third eye chakra. There was a lot of divine connection going on. You need to bring yourself back down to earth a little bit. So that is when the root chakra comes into play. Any crystal associated with the root chakra is a good crystal for grounding. My personal favorite is hematite. This particular piece and It's my only piece of straight up hematite in the form of, it's bigger than a tumble. It's not quite a palm stone, but whatever. I love sitting with this piece. Tarot reading aside, if I need to be grounded, which I do feel quite often I need to ground myself, I will sit with a piece of hematite. Again, you can program your clear quartz to do this for you. But this is just something, hematite is one of my favorite grounding crystals. It's worked so well for me. It is very heavy, and I think maybe that's why to feel the weight of it in my hand is soothing. And it's physically grounding. It's heavy, right? So working with grounding crystals post tarot reading I find to be very helpful. More specifically with other people, I find if I'm reading for my friends, I really need to come back down. Like there's something different about reading for friends than reading for myself. It could be the anxiety of reading for other people. That definitely could be part of it as well, but who knows? So another hematite-ish, not ish, it is hematite, but it also, you can see, has a side of red. This is hematite mixed with red jasper. And red jasper is also a grounding crystal. It's that red color, the root chakra color, mixed with the side of the hematite, also a grounding crystal. But red jasper helps us to avoid emotional manipulation by others. So if you're doing a reading for other people, and I'm not saying that they're maliciously emotionally manipulating you, wow, that's hard to say, but for me, people's emotions rub off on me. So this is a handy one if I'm going to be reading for other people and it was particularly emotional, or there was, maybe a little upset feelings, whatever the case may be, this is a good one to have as well. Again, quite heavy with that hematite in there, but it also just kind of keeps other people's emotions from affecting you. Another good one for that is, where is it? Right in front of me. This is Malacola, because it's got chrysocolla in it as well, but that one is straight up malachite. And it's a tiny tumble because malachite is expensive. So again, you can program your clear quartz to do this for you, but a tiny tumble shouldn't set you back too much. A tiny tumble of malachite is excellent for empaths, for helping us to deal with our own emotions instead of someone else's, instead of taking on other people's emotions. This one has come with me to funerals. It's really helped me. It's also a great travel stone, so it's come with me on some vacations. But green is associated with our heart chakra, so it deals more with the emotions. But again, for empaths, people who take on other people's emotions, it would be an excellent one for post tarot reading, and these ones are great for grounding as well. Okay, now I'm going to talk about non-tarot uses. I figured since we were doing this video, we would throw a little non-tarot use portion into it. So I didn't bring it because it has stuff on it, but I do have a rose quartz slab, and I keep it in my washroom, and it sits flat. It's not display, it's not angled up, it's just sitting flat in my washroom, and it has my face lotion, it has my floss, it has my retinol, it has things that I'm putting on my face or using on my teeth, and it's just, again, rose quartz is self-love and beauty, so I just kind of like to have my stuff sitting on a slab of rose quartz, especially stuff that I'm putting on my skin or teeth, my floss. You could even put your toothpaste in it. Mine's a little too big. The slab itself is probably only like that big, but so it doesn't fit too many things, but it's got my little pot of face lotion, my daytime and nighttime, and I love the thought of my lotion sitting on a slab of rose quartz that's supposed to be for self-love and beauty, and then putting those products on my face or on my teeth. I just think I love it. It's a favorite. So rose quartz for your beauty products. Again, now that rose quartz slab kind of did set me back a little bit, but you could use and by set me back a little bit, I mean $35. But I don't like to spend a lot of money on crystals. That's why I have so many little ones. But you can just use your tumbles, your rose quartz tumbles around your beauty products. Same thing. The slab seemed perfect for that. What else do I do? Home protection. Black tourmaline is a perfect one for home protection. Keeping black tourmaline at your front door to absorb that negative energy before it has a chance to come in and ruin your life, ruin your day. So black tourmaline at the front door, excellent, excellent option. It's one of my favorite things to do. I have a larger piece that sits at the front door. And I've heard people talk about using these little selenite things and putting them on the top of the door frame for the same kind of thing, just purity and cleansing when people come in. Another thing I do with crystals is I add them to my moon water. So I do have some crystal chips in this one. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but they are green. They are aventurine. So this was the full moon in Sagittarius on June 11th of this year. And this is kind of what I imbued this full moon water with: releasing fear, good luck, manifesting opportunity, and adventure. So there's clear quartz in it as well. The green aventurine is for manifesting and good luck and opportunity, probably with a side of adventure. And that's what I like to do with my moon water. Just these little chips, which you can, again, I think you can even get them on Amazon in baggies, like probably giant bags. But let's talk about putting crystals in water for a second. Do not drink water that has had crystals in it. People talk about there are some crystals that are safe for water and some crystals that are not safe for water. Me personally, I would say they are all unsafe for water. Why? Because they have been polished with a lacquer. I don't know what's in that lacquer. It's probably toxic. Doesn't sound like something that would be non-toxic to me. So I'm not going to drink water that has something in it that is used to polish things. Not going to do it. I mean, Skittles have polish, but it's carnauba car wax. That's what makes Skittles shiny. So you're literally eating car wax. Same kind of thing. I wouldn't drink it if I don't know what's in it. So this, I don't drink it. I don't ingest any crystal infused water. I will spritz it around my person. The mist kind of sometimes, if I aim correctly, hits me, lands on me, but it's such a small amount that I don't think it's going to cause any problems. But I would never spray this in my mouth, in my drinks. No, I wouldn't do that. If I'm going to use moon water for that, I would use the moon water that I've collected without the crystals inside it. This is just kind of to spritz in the air. So just my own personal thing. I do not drink any water that's been infused with crystals, but I do make moon spray with them. So that's another thing I like to do with crystals. Another thing I like to do with my crystals is work with them. See, this is a piece of that selenite. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There is a shard. Let's get something black. I wouldn't want to drink that. Selenite isn't water soluble at all, period. But this perfect example. Okay, working with crystals and the new and full moon. So even if I don't do a moon ritual, which, yeah, sometimes I'm not feeling it, I still will like to keep my crystals that I have associated with the new and full moon around me. So the new moon, we have garnierite or green moonstone. So this one does have blue flash. Haha, there she is. So pretty. So garnierite or green moonstone and peach moonstone for the full moon, and black moonstone for the new moon. So pretty. So if I'm going to do a ritual, I would probably cleanse them, probably with sound, because it's easy peasy. And then I would just sit with them. I wouldn't necessarily give them an intention. I just want to connect with them around these times of the month. And I would probably sleep with them in my bed. Pick one of them, keep them in my bed that night, hang out with it while I'm watching TV, just to connect to that lunar energy. And these crystals are associated with the full and new moon. So also very feminine. Moonstone is divine feminine energy and the moon is feminine energy. So just really like connecting with them, being near them, being around them during that time of the month. And same with any other crystals. Like I could I'm looking at all my crystals and I can't decide. I really need some joy. Really, really need that sunshine energy. So we've got some yellow calcite here. Definitely lacquer on calcite, because calcite can be a little flaky. So this definitely has lacquer on it, but hang out with it, you know? I might not sleep with this. I might not keep it in my bed because it is a more energizing crystal. Anything yellow, orange is more on the energizing side. So I might not keep it in my bed, but I would hang out with it for a little bit. I just need the joy. I just need a little bit of joy, you know? And this is just the energy of the moon. So I hang out with these guys during the new and full moons, or anytime. They're not limited to those times of the month. If I want to connect to the divine feminine, if I'm using a divine feminine deck, sure, I would hang out with one of these, keep it near me while using the deck. Again, I wouldn't necessarily give it an intention or a purpose, just hang out with them to connect with that energy. And the last thing, this is newer to my practice because I just got these in last month. These are mica plates. Very, very flaky and fragile. You can see they leave sparkles on my fingers just by touching them. So what is mica? Mica is found in lepidolite or lepidolite, depending on what you want to call it. So there's a little itty bitty lepidolite tower. And I have a mica tower, so this might give you a better idea. Look at those little striations. Those are all sheets of this. They're more thin than that, but you can see it's even peeling off ever so slightly. It's very fragile, and it has a different sound than a solid crystal would have, but just really pretty. Like the shimmer on them is insane, which is why I use it for this purpose. So when I'm making full moon water, this is from May 12th of this year, full moon in Scorpio, I keep it on my shelf. I cleanse the bottle. I will cleanse the bottle with smoke and fill it with natural spring water that I've collected from a natural spring. And I will hold this and give it the intention I want to give it. So this one was intuition, emotional healing, introspection, and shedding habits. So I would hold it, sit with it, and repeat that until I feel like it has settled in there, it's good enough, and then set it on my windowsill. But I would use this underneath it, because it's acting as a mirror and it's reflecting the moonlight into all angles of that. Yeah, you could just use a mirror, but why would you do that when you have this beautiful mica slab? So it's just kind of just getting a little more of that light from the moon into all sides of this little jar of moon water. Okay, so that's that. I finally got around to filming this video. I feel like it was a little chaotic. I probably talked a little too much, but if you're interested in how I work with these crystals that I continuously show and continuously talk about, I just thought I would give you a little bit of insight, maybe some ideas. And if you use them in a way that I did not show and you think I would enjoy that, put it in the comments, let me know, because I am open to using these beautiful pieces in any way, shape, and form I can that suits me, because I love to not just display them, but get use out of them as well. If I'm spending money on them, I don't want them to necessarily just sit. Yes, I have pieces that do just sit that would be for display only, but if you can incorporate other pieces into part of your daily life or practices or rituals, I'm all for it. I love it. I love a practical use for something that's also beautiful that can sit on your counter and you can look at. So that's that. That's my video on how I work with crystals and tarot. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you when I see you.